Hello, 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 and welcome to Survivor Debrief. My name's Eden Porter, the unlucky loser from Survivor Titans vs Rebels, and with me as always is my comedic partner and real life brother, Josh Porter. Josh, how you going?
Good. Really exciting 3 episodes here. A lot of juicy stuff to talk about. Very interesting. Good to see some bit of a tribe swap in there and some shifting dynamics, which is great.
Dude, such a good 3-episode arc here.
It's great.
Really interesting, a lot of stuff going on, and we had a tribe swap, and we had the downfall of Tez, and we had there was a lot of interesting things. So let's just get straight into episode 7. I just got to start episode 7 with just Don. He's shaken by getting 4 votes. He's shaking in his boots, and he's like, and it's interesting. And of course, we know what happens in episode 7 with Don, but he feels like he's got to start. He's like, I've got to do something to change my game. But he does say, I think his quote at the start of this is, "Look, when in doubt, chop wood. It's Survivor 101." I'm like, Don, that is not Survivor 101, my friend. You should not be going off and chopping wood.
But Don, he recognised his social game's lacking, right?
Yes,
and
he did.
He's really trying to connect with people a bit more. So we saw a bit of growth from Don, but maybe
we did.
maybe
By
just
the
not
end
enough.
of this episode, he was like, "Oh, I'm chatting with the girls now. I see the relationship. I've got to do more things." But Faith doesn't like how the Johnson vote came about last episode, and she has this really strange combo with Mark, and it doesn't come across well. And they do their hug at the end and stuff like that, but it is showing a few cracks in this sort of Ruby Soho.
Do you feel Mark and Faith are the tight pair, or is it Keely and Faith?
I feel like Keely and Faith are actually the tight pair, and Mark is the one. I feel like Faith, from what we're seeing, Faith and Mark still have something quite strong.
Yep.
But the edit is really showing us. I believe Faith when she's talking to Keely, saying like, "Oh yeah, we'll burn Mark at some point."
Yeah.
And it's interesting to think about, is this not what was going to happen with the V's eventually for Mark last time? They were not taking him over each other.
That's a good point.
But the only difference is I feel like these two are much more strategic, have a much better understanding of the game than the other V's. And so I think the V's were relying on Mark a bit more, whereas these girls can really get it done.
That's a good point.
They're getting it done on their own. But it's interesting to know, sort of where that group dynamics, and we can talk about it a bit further on. But let's just set that up. That's the setup for the episode, and then we're going straight to the challenge. We've got this reward challenge, which is for meat pies, Josh.
Delicious.
Delicious
An Aussie
420.
classic.
Josh, do you know? I think mine's still growing. You want something from, you blokes want something from the shop?
Oh, they should have done that. The
They
losing
should have
tribe
done-
gets rabbit food. Again.
I know. Again. I think mine's still growing. Classic. Look it up if you haven't seen that classic ad from Australia. But this is another mud challenge.
Yeah. So you've got the ball rail over the top, and then you got to run and grab it, and then you're shooting it in the hoop 1-on-1.
And then you're shooting it in the hoop once you've crawled thing. I think I'd be pretty good at the getting through the ropes and getting the ball. But it was cool to see I think the Simon Faith showdown was quite cool.
Yeah.
And then what do you think of the hitting the ball away?
It's one of those things of every now and again in a challenge, you realize that the rules aren't fully explained. Yeah.
And
so some people just go for it and they just try it on, right? So
ultimately, if it breaks the game, production is stopping it. Production or David is saying hey, you can't do that. No.
Yeah.
But if you might as well try it and see if you get away with it. And if it's good TV, they're going to let it go.
Especially if they've missed their shot and you're near their ball, just kick it away, right?
I think in Heroes vs Villains, there was someone did just boot the ball off down the beach and was just like, well, that's the game, go get it. But yeah, it was a fine little challenge for meat pies. There's nothing else that really came about.
Bounty won in the end. The original Bounty tribe.
Well,
we've got to get a headspace there.
Originally, I thought, hang on, are they going to do the meat pies to the tribe and not to the players?
That's what I thought, yeah.
And I thought, that's interesting. That's really interesting. But no, they gave everyone a little note that said, this is your pie. Yeah. Did you notice as well, the other thing in this challenge I wanted to mention was Blanche, not on screen, might I add, but just saying, maybe we're just not meant to eat any food. And she wasn't even on screen saying it. I'm like, Blanche is so purpled that they prefer to just play her audio than show her at this point in the show. She gets a little bit more screen time moving forward.
Blanche is fired up.
But Blanche's big move is coming.
Blanche's big move's on the way.
It's
on the way.
But let's see.
Let's talk about the tribe swap, the big drop your buffs moment at the end of the reward challenge.
This is great.
Huge.
This is great.
Is there any like the dynamics of going through everyone, pulling them out? How does that feel when you get to that moment of like, what are you thinking as a player? Your level of excitement, who you're going to be with, like, what are you trying to do publicly, and what are you thinking in your head?
I was the first one to get the tribe swap buff last time, and we had I got a Titans buff, and you're like, yeah, I think ultimately. There you go. Say that all the time. But I think it's just a matter of you just want to be with your allies. You want a good tribe dynamic if you're in a good position. This situation, you probably do want to be on bounty just to have a nice, good shelter. Like that would be beneficial. I know in our season, everyone wanted our camp because we had the tarp. So everyone's like, oh, I want to go to Titan Beach because we've got the tarp. But it's a really interesting breakdown. So at the end of the day, Brooke, Ben, and Blanche are moved, and Rich and Lyndall are the other two that are moved.
Which is interesting. I always find the tribe swaps most interesting when there's kind of, you don't necessarily have to just knock them out, because there is space. If there's enough of your original people, maybe I can make a move on them. Maybe I didn't like them, and now I've got an extra vote or two to work with. So I always find that interesting. I kind of almost like sometimes with these quite uneven numbers, because it feels less baked in, to be like, no, we will still have majority if we get rid of one of our own. I find that really interesting.
Yeah. The other thing with it is, in this situation, a normal split would be like, oh, you want a good mix of people, you want the whole tribe sort of mixed. But if it is sort of too even, and if everyone's really cohesive as well, it's way more likely. But thank God, all of these groups, they're so filled with fractions, and there's so many different factions and fractions and different groups and everything like that. There's so many that everyone is willing to turn on each other. At no point has it been kumbaya. Like, we're all on the same page. We just got rid of the one person annoying us.
Yeah, agreed.
So that's really good for this sort of situation.
There's just enough between them that they all have very vocally been plotting against each other already, and so they know they have to do that route down the road. So it's nice that they now have got these people to work with. The one thing that I find most interesting is, between Lyndall and Rich being the ones pulled over, they felt like the ones on the most on the outside. But then we'll talk about it later. But Rich seems to have maybe been in really tight with everyone over there. So
I can't tell.
I really can't tell either.
Rich's edit was before, because suddenly like Simon's giving up immunity for him and being like, Rich, you're my guy, and we're going to try and protect him and stuff. So I'm like, oh, maybe Rich was like in amongst everything. But what you want to do when you're in a minority, Josh, in these situations, obviously you want to try and build relationships. You want to downplay your position in your old tribe to be like, yep, this is what these guys did. Like, especially like
we need you,
who was it? Blanche was just suddenly like, I'm no one.
Blanche,
I've got nothing.
Well, Blanche just came over completely and blabbed everything and was really willing to jump over. And I think that speaks to, if you don't bring these people in on things, they don't feel they owe you anything, and there's no original tribal strength there. So Blanche has been very happy to jump across.
But surprising, Tez doesn't go immediately to Lyndall and Rich, be like, I'm totally on the outs. I'm looking for a new group of people. Let's start talking. Let's start doing that.
Do you think maybe Mark got in a bit earlier?
I think when Mark and Richard started talking Thai,
Mark talked Thai a long time.
Mark talked Thai very well. So good. But when that sort of happened, I'm like, maybe Tez is like, oh, damn it, I missed my opportunity. But Tez should be looking at these people. Tez should be looking for an idol. Tez should be looking for a new alliance people. And I feel like he didn't get on it at all.
Especially the tribe swap, right? Like, that is your moment. As we saw Blanche took that opportunity, you know.
Blanche
but it
took
doesn't.
Yeah.
But Ben, who knows? Brooke, I feel she feels pretty stuck where she is. It seems that.
Yeah. Aisha basically pulls in Blanche. That was a good move. She realized, yep, scoop her up, done. That's really all that really happened on Baron at this point, sort of in the game.
Yeah, more or less.
Then Bounty, Mark's building the relationships. It's interesting that Lyndall and Faith and Keely are not the ones building the relationships with Lyndall and Rich. Like, they've left that to Mark, and Mark's really hit the ground running doing that, because he knows that he needs to do some damage control at this point.
Well, we sort of heard that conversation a bit later where Faith and Keely were talking about Mark building all these connections, and why aren't we allowed to do that? And it's kind of like, you are. Mark has made a really, really conscious effort to like really forge deep, meaningful relationships with everyone to get as much information as he can.
Yeah, and
Faith and Keely have been doing that, but it just seems like Mark is just in overdrive doing that. And I think that speaks to a returnee, right?
Yeah, but the same thing with Blanche going over. You make them feel liked and loved, and they go, "Yeah, I haven't felt this the whole game. No one's
Yeah,
talked straight
yeah,
with me. No one's done
yeah,
anything, and now I feel like I'm playing the game." And we
yeah.
also have the Three Wise Woman Alliance named
Yes.
themselves of Sally, Keely, and Faith, which I think is, I think that's a strong group of women. They're all pretty powerful, all pretty game savvy. We haven't seen a lot from Sally, but we have seen that she wants to play. And she
Yeah,
wants to,
I don't have a good read on Sally.
yeah, either
and
do I.
yeah, it's a bit hard to tell.
And they don't like Tez, and they don't like Caleb.
No.
And then they're so blinded by those two, they're not even looking at Rich and Lyndall really at this point as targets. So it's interesting.
Yeah, it is.
So then we've got immunity challenge, which is the ramp, stairs, cart, and then you throw to get through. That in pulling that cart in the mud would have been no joke. Like
Yeah,
that would have
yeah.
been heavy. And when they came, did you notice it was pouring rain? But when they started
was,
the challenge, it was
yes.
dry.
Yeah.
We never had a pouring rain challenge like that.
That was just luck then, right?
That must have just been luck.
just-
And the
the weather
showers
was
are
the
pretty
weather.
quick sometimes.
Yeah, okay.
So like that makes sense.
We did get a lot of footage of Mark falling over, which is
Yeah, that was weird. That was a weird edit decision, I
hey,
think.
maybe Mark was the only one who couldn't handle it in the wet. He's not
Yeah,
a mudder.
mate,
Mark's not a mudder.
No, Mark's a good swimmer though, but
Mark's
not a
is a
mudder.
good swimmer. He's not a mudder.
But
no,
not a
it's
mudder.
true.
His mudder was a mudder though. We've got all this reference cities today. See if you can spot them. Hashtag all of these references. Now, this is important to win the swap challenge. You want to win the swap challenge because you just need a couple more days to build those relationships in this new group of people. So it's really important. And funnily enough, Don is finally getting to do his throwing.
Don got to do it.
And he's so good at it.
Don does this every day, Ed. We've heard this.
Don
Don picks up coconuts
Don
from
does
next to
this
his
every
bed
day.
and throws at his alarm every morning to wake him up. That's how Don lives his life.
What would Don do? Don would do this.
What would Don do?
Don is good.
But it's pretty great because we had Jackson and Don again going head to head, which is really great. Again, like it's just great to see these really close challenges really coming down to it.
Yes.
Except one annoying thing which I found, I don't think I've really seen it before. It's very like it saps a lot of the energy out it when the coconut goes straight through the thing and leaves a bullet hole instead of a whole thing shattering.
What are they doing? I don't know.
I don't know what
sort of
they're
glass
making them
they're
out of.
using, but you want it to shatter.
Exactly,
And do
if
you know
it
in
gets
past, like famously, Jonathan Penner is like hitting all these targets in one of his
like,
seasons.
it's got to break.
And they're like, no, it's got to break. And Penner's like, my ass. Like this is like this is not right. Like
yeah,
it
I
should
hit
shatter.
the thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
So I found that weird, but it was great to see a really close challenge come down to it.
And ultimately,
There we go.
there we go. To keep a tally going. But Don, if they had started at the same time, I think Don wins this.
Look, I wouldn't put it past Don. Let's
Wouldn't
just
put it
that
past
way.
him.
I wouldn't put it past Don.
Be something that he would do. So now we're into the scramble, and
So
the new bounty.
Yeah, we had Baron win and Bounty heading off
So
to scramble.
one thing I want to mention is it's weird that they don't confirm that Lyndall's idol is. We're under the impression Brooke came out and said, "Yeah, my idol expired at the swap." Lyndall, they never make this clear that Lyndall's. They still give her the little symbol, the little idol symbol. and
Yeah,
everything
I don't
like
know. I
What's
don't know
that
what's
about?
going on because it seemed like it's still in play, right?
From the production standpoint, it looked like it, but we know it's not.
Well, based on what Brooke said, right? That
Yeah.
it would be the same rules for both of them. So I
But
don't quite understand why that's not made clear to the
Just
viewers.
from an editing perspective, just go, just have one shot of Lyndall going like, and now my idol's useless. Like I
Yeah.
didn't get to use it.
I don't think it's confusing unless there's drama there that maybe Lyndall's going to use it and they want to keep that in people's
Yeah.
minds or something. But she's not talking about it because she's not going to use it. You know?
And so this scramble is like the three wise women. They want to weaken Mark. They want Tez out. Tez isn't even with Mark, so I don't know why Tez is.
I think he's with him insofar as Mark has built relationships with everyone.
Yeah, but last vote, Tez voted Don. Tez didn't vote with Mark.
That's true. That's true.
So I'm like, you look at that and go like, well, is this really weakening Mark? Voting off Tez? Maybe not.
Yeah. Well, they obviously think it is, right? And I guess, well, Mark actually leans into it that he would prefer to keep Caleb. I think we heard that. So when I think Tez came up, he was very happy to throw him out and really build it as, oh, yeah, okay, one for me, one for you kind of thing.
Yeah, which is fine. I also like it how Mark brought up, he calls out what happened the last time he did a tribe swap with us and how him and the V's, he's like, oh, it's strangely prolific what ends up happening this time again. Like it happens again. I feel like he
It's the ghost of
willed
the
it.
jungle, Eden. The ghost
Well,
of the
it's the
jungle.
ghost. It's the survivor gods and the survivor ghosts playing with Mark because he brought it up. He willed it into existence, and it
Yeah.
followed him to this point.
Yeah.
Mark and Keely have a couple of weird convos as well. And Mark knows that he can't push back at this point, and he goes, "Yep, that's fine." And then it's just a matter of, okay, is everyone on board with Tez? And Mark is like, "Yep, it's fine, whatever." And they're surprised. They're like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, right. They really were. They were like, "Oh, I thought you'd push back a bit more on us there, Mark." But Mark's savvy enough to be like, "No,
that's fine.
I'm trying to maintain relationships in this alliance." So that was weird that they really were sort of taken back by that.
Yeah, and Tez is he's just not putting anything in motion. He's got real no game connections. Like
Just
these
feels
3
absolutely drawing
episodes-
dead. Yeah.
These 3 episodes are just this slow death of Tez, I feel.
And
Like-
it's really tough because he's like saying, "Oh, I really want to start playing now. Let's go." And it's like he's just not built those connections with people. And every time, like everyone's walking away from him, leaving him. No, you can't come into this conversation. It's
all 3 of
crazy.
these episodes, the amount of times that they actually tell him, no, can you go sit down? No, not yet, Tez. No,
Yeah.
go over there. I'm just like,
and
man.
what are you meant to do at that point, right? Like, is it just
Brutal.
you've just failed to make the relationships and you're in this position, you know, getting close to halfway through the game or whatever, and it's like there's not a lot you can do if you don't have the people around you.
No, and this also has a hilarious conversation with Sally. She has no read on the Corn Chip Alliance, Corn Chip Cartel.
No.
And so she goes to Don and she's like, "Oh, yeah, look, Mark. Yeah, Mark's interesting. You're not with Mark, are you, Don?" And you got to say that. You can't say that after the point
do you
that
feel
you
about
put Mark's in there. I'm just like, "Oh, Sal, this is not good, mate."
The strange thing about this, Eden, what do you think is the point of telling someone, "Hey, in the future, we need to get X"? What are we trying to achieve by doing that?
You're trying to plant seeds that someone else is on the chopping block. So when it comes to that next vote, it's already in the back of people's mind saying like, "Well, yeah, we're eventually going to get rid of this person, so we could do it now."
Okay.
Which is it's not bad to have seeds out there. What it is bad is if the seeds track back to you and it can be easily traceable.
Straight away as well.
Straight away.
Straight
And
away.
You've got to know who any good gardener, Josh, knows who to plant their seeds with. Like this is Survivor 101, Don, if you're listening, my friend. Because Sally here putting this into Don's hands, Don instantly goes back to Mark. I find this a really interesting parallel between what happened with last episode with Tez getting information and spilling it to Mark, but then backtracking and not telling him everything and realizing he'd done something wrong and backing out. And Don getting information and instantly going to Mark. Instantly. I feel like that was solidifying him and Mark's role together. And he was like, Mark was like, "Yeah, this is what I need. I need people coming to me." And this is why Mark and Tez never took things to another level because Tez was obviously not with him.
And what a brilliant demonstration of Mark choosing to be like, "I see Don is this outcast. I'm going to take him in." And that looks straight away that's paying dividends and getting that really solid information and intel back that you can work with. You know that Sally's coming for you.
Yeah, but then Mark sends Don to go get more information, and I don't think that's Don's role. I don't think that's Don's strength because then Don goes back to the girls and says, "Sally's saying all
I've
this
heard
stuff."
about this plan. Yeah.
And then it's just very out in the open, and then Mark comes there, and it's this weird, and then they're sort of saying, "Oh yeah, well it's obviously Sally now. We have to do Sally." And the girls are sort of side-eyeing each other going like, "Yeah, okay."
Well, do you think that they probably didn't tell Sally, "Can you go round up and let people know or let Don know," right? Like
No.
Sally's just done that. So I think they're genuinely not confused. Like they want to do that as well, but I think they were genuinely surprised to hear that out there. And but we didn't really see any kind of conflict between them and Sally of being like, "Why did you do this?" You tell Don, like, "What are you doing? Like, that's really not helping us." We didn't really see anything like that. So it's interesting that sort of didn't cause a fracture between them.
Yeah, I know. And it's weird that Mark thought, I don't know whether he did, but Mark, when he sort of said Sally, "Oh, we're doing Sally now then, because she's coming for one of us," that he was just assumed that they would be on board like instantly. Like, yeah, that's fine. Because Mark does end up voting for Sally. So he does think that there is some votes going that way.
Well, I guess it's that thing of, as he did with Kat, it's like if someone's throwing your name out there, you've got to get them quick.
Yeah, and I totally agree.
Yeah, so I think it makes sense that you would pivot here. And I think that should be telling Mark that the way this vote goes, that those guys maybe aren't as close as allies as you think, because someone coming for you, they didn't want to get rid of, you know?
Yeah.
So It was interesting though how it all had flipped, and then all of a sudden, it's just gone back the other way of now Mark's trying to get what he wants. But if Sally hadn't had that conversation with Don,
I know,
it would have been really, really different, because that vote thing would never come back on Sally, and probably Mark would have just gone through and we would have got what we wanted. But hey, cool, no worries.
Yeah, it would have ultimately been, so if nothing happens, Tez just goes home. This is what we think.
I think so.
I think Mark sending Don off on this fact-finding mission really did him in ultimately, because, and then again, if Don hadn't told Mark the information, it probably just stays on Tez, which is a bit sad for Don. But we're at Tribal Council now. Keely then decides to do a live tribal. So she pulls in everyone. Yep, I'm going to do this. So she's pulling in Faith, obviously, and then Rich, Lyndall.
Rich and Lyndall. So whispering to them was the big one. And
I think the Mark was done a bit dirty here with the seating arrangements, because Mark was down the wrong end of the action, and purposely it felt like Lyndall and Rich were on one end, isolated between with the girls there, and that was perfect for them. Absolutely perfect. They could isolate them. They couldn't sort of communicate. You could see Rich's face. Like,
he
just
really
like,
was surprised.
What is happening?
Because I can appreciate Lyndall. They seem to have really been connecting with Mark, and then being told this different plan right then. Are you thinking, well, hang on, is my loyalty to Mark or is my loyalty to the majority here? Because I don't want to be the person who can't be trusted.
You don't know where the majority is. I think if you're a second-time player, or if you're someone with some game-savvy confidence, which is really hard to do in these situations, like Rich goes, okay, and he gets up, walks over to Mark and be like, what's happening? I've just been told it's Don.
Yeah,
and then Mark goes, it's not Don. They're trying to pull a Swiftie, and everything blows up and everything changes. Yeah. And then Rich is probably in a better position then with Mark as like a locked-in alliance. And then you can go, okay, well, these girls tried to do something and it blew up in their face. But Rich doesn't. Rich and Lyndall hold the line and they go, okay, I don't think they're happy about it. I don't think Rich was happy.
Yeah, it was interesting. Like, I don't know what they thought was best for their game. Like, in terms of who was going, I don't know necessarily. I didn't get a sense if they cared too much. It was more about, and Rich sort of reiterated this in his giving his vote, casting his vote. It's about building relationships and building stuff with people. So I think it was just a shock of, okay, this is changing. I wasn't told this. I wasn't expecting this. I thought I was in really tight, and now all of a sudden the plan's changing. So I think it was genuinely that befuddlement of like, I thought we were locked in. I thought we we're doing this stuff. It was really interesting to see how quite shocked Rich was.
Yeah, I know. And so at the end of the day, Don cops all the votes, and I think this really sets up Keely and Faith as this, and Sally really as this powerful group in this alliance. Now the cornship cartel had their supply chain broken up.
I do have one question. Like, I think it's pretty clear what Don could have done better. Like, I think it was great that he latched on to Mark. He saw him, as we sort of seen with Ozzy and Sari. He sort of thought, like, I don't have this side of my game. So I think Don made a good move to tie in with Mark, but I think the damage is already done in those early days, rubbing people the wrong way, too much focus on other things that aren't the social game. He tried to change it, but I think it's a bit too late. But my one question for you, Eden, will Don be remembered for the shelter?
Bloody hopefully.
I hope so.
You're sleeping tonight?
I hope so. I think he will. I think people will remember the rock-solid shelter for Don.
I think Don might start up a Survivor training academy with Survivor 101. Mate, if things go bad, chop wood. Chop wood,
we'll see that. We'll see that. You're on the bottom. Just head. I
think Don. I grew to like Don a bit more by this point. Yeah, I think he was good. But let's get on to episode 8 now. After Don and Keely's loving life, she's the silent assassin. As long as she's not the smiling assassin, I think we've had way too many smiling assassins. Silent assassin is fine. Although it's not so silent when you're hosting a live tribal or getting up and telling people. It's pretty obvious who you're assassinating.
Well, because what was interesting, Mark was absolutely left out of this vote. So
100%.
How do you think Mark did coming back after this and talking to them and feeling it out and repairing that?
Yeah, Mark did great. So Mark has a really cool quote here where he says, obviously the correct move is not blowing up. Is pulling back in Rich and Lyndall and going like, okay, what happened? I'm still with you guys. This is fine. They really like put you in a really bad position. He didn't blow up at Faith and Keely. He rebuilt that, which is great. But there's this great line that he says, there'll be more opportunities to take control down the line. So with Titans versus Rebels, Mark ended up really straight away trying to go after Caro. Like, oh, I need to get back and I need to do something. And he was very fired up and he instantly wanted to do that. But this time he's taking a step back and he's going, there will be other opportunities. He's confident in his position. I think with us, he was thinking, oh man, I might be next now. I've got to do something.
Yeah.
Whereas this, he knows he's not next. And he knows I've got an opportunity. So I think him trying to rebuild power down the line, I'm like, this is great. This is great gameplay from Mark.
I think we did see that closer relationship between him and Faith really helping to smooth that over. The interesting thing that we heard, I think it was Keely say about, and I felt that was a bit the way in your season with Mark as well. Like, where else can Mark turn? Like,
that's what I was feeling. That's when we did the Viola vote, I was like, Mark, he's not going to go with these rebels.
Yeah.
To become a split, because I'm going to convince Mark, mate, I'm still with you. I'm not voting you out. You're safe. You're not happening. You're with us still. And I did feel that he would come back into the fold if he had no one else. And that's what they're feeling here.
And it's such a difficult position to be in, right? Because Keely and Faith kind of know now at this point in the game, like Mark can't really, like he has all these connections with people, but he's really locked in with you guys. So do you think Mark could reasonably potentially throw away that relationship and try and build something else? Or is it like, no, when you're at this point of the game and you've established those really close alliances, are you really locked in with those to ride them out to the end, even if you get a sense of these people wavering a bit?
Yeah, like you look at the chips that are still on the board in this episode alone. Mark wants Sally out. Mark could get Sally out this episode if he wanted to. If Tez was switched on and knew that Mark voted Sally, he could say, mate, I know you want Sally. I'm happy to do Sally. Like, let's mix this up. It's Richard, it's Lyndall, it's Tez, it's Mark. Like, get Caleb in, keep Caleb out of the loop.
You know what Caleb would say?
What would he say?
Caleb would be up for that.
He's so up for that. But Mark wants to still foster this relationship, and they come up with a name because everyone needs a good name.
Yes.
It's the head office.
Yes.
So we've got Mark, Faith, and Keely. I like the head office. You can do a lot of office puns. You're fired. You can do, it's time to do
maybe not that bit on the nose these days.
Well, yeah, that's true. But you can do other versions of that.
Yes.
You're hired.
Good. You're hired.
You could go, we're going to HR about this. There's a lot of good things. He put my stapler in Jello. There's a lot of things you can do to like make this work. I think that's fine.
You took my bag, all these guys. You stole my water bottle. You hid my shoes 2 feet away.
Office pranks.
All
you
these
can
things.
look down the barrel of the camera a lot more and do the gym eyes. Yeah. So you can do a lot of that. This three-way group that they've got though, Faith is in the best position of them all because she is the linchpin. And that's always the spot that I wanted to be in as well. I wanted to be the grease between the wheels. And she is honestly doing a fantastic job making both members of this thing feel really supported and really on board. Like with Keely is like, oh, me and you, Faith, we're all the way, and we'll get rid of Mark at some point. But then she's immediately going to Mark and being like, we've got to make Keely feel like she's making decisions. This will keep her under control. And all this stuff.
I do feel though that it does feel that Keely and Faith is leaning more towards Keely in terms of future. And I wonder if that thinks she's got a better chance to beat Keely or dominate Keely compared to going up against Mark as we get deeper in the game.
I think these 3 episodes have really been a Keely coming out party. Like she's really on the board now as a really powerful, smart player, which is fantastic to see. And I like the fact that, again, we talk about this a bit, you want to play with other players. You want to play with people that also get the game and do stuff. And I think all 3 of them know how to play the game. And just for 2, again, this is I think this is again a great reason to have newbies. I feel like these 2 have sort of seen what you can do. They've seen what a live tribal is. They watch Mark do it, and now Keely's done it. Yeah. So it is. I do feel like you go, oh, this is what I can do. I can do this sort of stuff. So it's a really interesting group. We've got Mark even tries to double. He's like, but above the head office, there's a little Ruby Soho above the thing, isn't there?
Oh, Mark, I don't think anyone's talking about Ruby Soho anymore. I think that could be.
It's all about the head office now. It's all about the head office. So Faith's in a great spot in this situation, which I think is really good. And a lot of people, Mark is a shield still at this point for them. But the more that they weaken Mark, the less of a shield he is in a way. Because
I think that the target is well and truly around Keely and Faith, and particularly Keely. I think
they're making themselves bigger. They're making themselves known as like when they're sitting in the hammock saying, hey, we can do whatever we want now. This is, I'm like, guys, you're really painting yourselves as the people running the tribe. And that's not a great position to be in.
Well, they also feel quite natural in how they're playing. I want to ask you, Eden, as you're playing and things go your way, does it become easier to play? Because I feel there's a level of confidence with them that we don't see, we haven't really seen from, Richard, Lyndall, Tez, Sally necessarily either. Like, I feel like they really feel like they're in charge, driving this. The way they're talking to people, maybe not great, some of the conversations they're having in terms of their attitude towards them, like towards Tez and those kind of things. But does it get easier the more things go your way?
The game is so different when you've got a strong connection with people and that you're dictating the votes and you're literally, you spend your time going, okay, what's the split? We need to do this, this, and this. Okay, everyone do it. Okay, bang, it's done. When you're on the bottom, not knowing what's going on, you don't have the information. It all comes down to how much information you have. Like Tez, they've starved Tez for information. They've starved like a lot of these guys. Like Caleb obviously doesn't know what's going on half the time.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to make. Yeah. It's really hard to make an impact when you don't know the breakdowns. But this is why you got to be super observant. You got to see where everything's happening. Like I talked about it before. Tez should go. Mark wants Sally out. What can we do to make that happen? Yes, we don't have faith in Keely, but no, Richard and Lyndall don't care about Sally.
Yeah.
Like Caleb doesn't care about Sally.
Yeah.
And this is what frustrates me the most. Tez's targets are people that are also in the minority. And
instead of banding together with them.
Like he went after Don. Don isn't running the game. He's going after. He's trying to get Richard under the bus. He's going after Caleb. Like these are the people, Tez, that you should be getting into your fold. Caleb doesn't want to work with you because you put his name out there and he's cut at you.
Yeah.
You should. There's no way if you're in your position, you should be targeting the other people in your minority because you're killing your minority and you eventually get voted out. And that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened to him. So.
Shall we move to the immunity challenge now?
Let's I love the ladder tower spinner.
Yeah, I love a challenge where you have to carry something all the way through, and so repurposing the ladder at each step and then putting it here and putting it here. I love that kind of stuff.
So good.
And then the word scramble at the end, which was tough. That seemed very, very tough.
I'm sorry, lift your game or lose your flame is not a classic Survivor reference. No one has said it. I like these things need to. Okay, when we had a word challenge before, I saw it was a puzzle challenge. I'm terrible with these. This is my nightmare doing word scrambles in this situation. But I was there going, okay, these guys, listen up. These are the type of things it's going to be. It's going to be like you will be at immunity. You will lose your vote. You are safe. You are not going home. Like these are the sort of things that it'll be. So look for those letters. And then you've got this here: lift your game, lose your flame. No one's pulling that up. I actually wonder. Because they didn't have the time.
Stood there.
Yeah. And whether production actually got to a point where they said, because when you haven't eaten, word games are hard, man.
Yeah.
And whether they go, okay, guys, this is the first word. Like, I don't know, but it just seems so impossible.
The one thing that was really annoying me was they had why are you are as the first one, but then they were using it in a sentence as if it was you are. Like you are safe, but it was why are you are? And I was like, guys, different you're. Get that out of your head.
Yeah, that's true,
really
actually.
It's really annoying me.
Now, when this is just a thing that gets stuck in my head, I just got to mention it. When David says, that ladder is heavy, right? And he says that, all I think in my head is, my dogs are hungry from The Dark Knight. That's I always have that in my head. My dogs are hungry. You know the start of The Dark Knight?
I don't know.
Okay, look it up. He says it the exact same cadence.
The bit of comms that I loved was when Brooke was on Jackson's back and he said they're going full Megazord.
Who would have thought we would get that reference in here, mate? This is so good.
A few putties jump out.
Yeah, a few putties.
Hassling them. That's all the crew hassling them.
You need Rita. Repulsor.
After 39 days, I'm free.
It's time to conquer Earth. Yeah, we love our Power Rangers. Couldn't have done this word puzzle, Josh. I'm just going to put it out there. I would be useless at this.
The other really important thing to chat about here is the Matt chat beforehand. We had that weird gambit around the clothes, wearing all the clothes of all the people who'd gone and that being disrespectful. And then we saw Rich leaning over to Simon being like, hey, you got to throw, we're in danger over here. Yeah. That is Aisha as well. I think it was just circumstantials who happened to be closest. Yeah. But the weirdest thing about setting all this up, right? What we saw, that seemed to be Rich as part of Mark's plan and with them being like, hey, let's try and get them to throw on that side. Yeah. Cool, got it. And then subsequent to that, we saw the rest of the episode, the next one, it seems like, no, they think that is Rich being genuine to them. So I don't really know.
So the Baron tribe felt that they bought it hook, line, and sinker.
It
They were like,
seemed that
Rich,
way, right?
Yes, they were like, Rich is so out of his depth, like he's so under the pump. We've got to save Rich. He's really downtrodden. But then Faith and Keely clock that Rich is lying to them and told them not to throw, or to.
Yeah, like they thought he was
What?
maybe saying something else. So yeah, I think that they thought no, he spoke for them too long. It couldn't have been that. It must have been something more. He's sharing information or something. So they're sus on Rich. So it was such a weird moment, and this clothing thing that comes up, I didn't even understand what's going on.
I don't even understand the other, but ultimately, far out. But damn it. But this Rich little fun little thing that they'd planned with Rich looking downtrodden seems to have really bitten him in the butt with Faith and Keely. It seems so innocuous, but they really put a finger
Just
on him,
him
saying,
talking too long.
"Oh,
And
he's got so many connections over there."
But I find that interesting because to me that speaks to Mark doing the work and getting tight with Lyndall and Rich, and Keely and Faith maybe not being
Feeling
as
that,
in tune with that, because
Yeah.
that maybe they didn't really understand. They hadn't had those conversations with Rich as Mark had.
Completely
too much.
agree. Completely agree.
We had
and
Baron
then-
win. We had Baron win in the end. And
It was
send
really
Bounty.
close. It actually was really close.
Real close
when they
again,
started seeing it. And then we're back at the scramble again. Lyndall, again, we don't know about her idol, because it seems like it still has a little picture, mate. Take the picture away if she doesn't have the idol anymore. Come on, production. What are you doing? Mark literally kicks Tez out of a chat with Keely. He goes,
Yeah.
"No, you could wait your turn back of the line." I'm
Crazy,
like,
right?
that is not a good feeling for
That's
Tez.
brutal.
But
Did you get a sense throughout all this? Tez is trying. Like he's trying to get in these conversations. He's trying to do stuff, but it's just not being receptive.
I don't know whether it's how his demeanor. Maybe he's super young and they're just not vibing with him.
Well,
but
unless-
they're just totally.
Yeah, well, it really, and I think we did see a number of conversations with Tez that probably highlight. You go, maybe we just can't trust this guy.
Yeah.
Like some of the things he's talking to people and then talking to other people, and it's just like blowing stuff up, and he's confused about things. And I think maybe you get a few of those, and you go like, I don't want to engage with this guy. We'll talk to him later.
Yeah.
We can't work with this, you know?
And so you've got to look at this situation now. So now we've got 8 people in this group, and you do have to look at it going like, okay, well, if we get 4, if it's 4 on 4, it's a wash because we're going down that path. But if they're splitting the vote and you guys get 4, then you could do something.
Yeah.
This is really hard to do in these situations. You need to have a lot of confidence in yourself and your abilities with these relationships. Again, Tez doesn't have that because he put Caleb's name under the bus. He's done these other things to put people offside. So it's not great. But then we have this amazing conversation with Tez talks to Richard and Lyndall.
Sitting by the fire, yeah.
He identifies that he should talk to them, but he just doesn't have a connection with them. But they make, and Rich does the right thing by saying, "Well, say a name, you say it," because it's Survivor 101, Josh.
So
This is
Survivor
another
102.
lesson.
Survivor 102.
Survivor 102. We're already chopping wood.
Chop the wood.
You chop the wood, and then you don't say a name. You get someone else to say a name, and that's just carte blanche across the board. Now people are not saying names anymore.
Rich really pushed that.
Really pushed it. Why does Tez say Faith?
I think because he just didn't think about this at all. He clearly he had no plan in his head going into this conversation. He was expecting them to offer something up and him go, "Great, I'm into it. Let's do it."
This is what I thought. He wanted someone else to say something and him just go, "I'll be your number. I'll be your extra number. Do it." And they flipped it on him and they said, "You got to say something, Faith." And then, so in his head, because he knows the game, he goes, "This could get back to Faith, that I put her name out there, and then Faith will be cut with me and then come after me." So he knows that's going to happen. He's not oblivious. Then he runs to Faith, but he hasn't thought through what he's going to say because he goes, "I was having this conversation," and he doesn't know how to say it. It's so painful. And then he eventually goes, "Yeah, so they asked me and they were forcing me to say a name, so I just sort of said it." And it's out there, but it's not real. It's not real. And she's like, "Why did you say my name?"
Yeah.
And what is your
I
answer
had to
to
say
that?
something. It was just strange.
You could have said anyone. You could have said Mark's. You could have said Caleb's. You could have said anyone else's name, but you didn't. You said mine.
I think it just speaks to getting into this position of and this is the sort of this tension here with Tez that we saw, where it was like, I'm not going to, we heard it multiple times, I'm not going to be a sheep, I'm not going to follow, I'm going to do my own plans. But then on the other side, going into that conversation, not really having a plan to offer. So like I don't like, somewhere in the middle it's been lost a bit about what is the good news. And I think it's like there's not that thinking through of what's best for Rich and Lyndall right now. Who are they tight with? Who are they thinking about getting? What makes sense for them? I don't think there's that layering of what's good for this person. It just seems like just been fed these names, understanding that he's on the bottom, but not really knowing how to get out of that position.
Yeah, and that's the curse. It's the curse of knowing the game and seeing yourself like, I've got nothing here. So now we're at Tribal Council.
Yes.
Rich has a feeling of like when you're feeling safe, it's not always that safe. And so he does go back to Tez and sort of say something might happen. I would have liked to see Rich.
The weirdest Vegas conversation I think I've ever seen in Survivor. It was so coy. Like, maybe you know that idea you had? Oh, what do you mean? The idea you had? You know, the idea you had. Maybe we could do something with that.
And then he's like, do something tonight. He goes, well, I'm not saying that, but
maybe something in the future
could happen. With
what? Your
Faith,
plan?
Faith, no, it's your plan. I'm not involved in this at all. It was so weird. It was
so
weird.
Strange.
So we're not really sure what's going to happen coming into Tribal Council, but there are definitely, we look at Mark, Faith, Keely and Sally together, Rich and Lyndall together, and then Tez and Caleb are totally separate. Yeah. We know that those four are tight and that they could just load up on someone else. But if you get wind that there's a split, this is your opportunity to do something. But what you can't do, you can't then do a live tribal against them because then those four will go, well, let's not do the split anymore. Something's off.
Yeah.
We're going. So you have to actually plan this before you go to Tribal Council. That's why Tez couldn't just sort of stand up and go like, guys, we're doing this now.
Well, maybe that's why they chose to keep Tez out. They go, we'll tell you at Tribal, you're not going to know now. You'll get a name later. And
as Tez being say, like, there's no trust there. If you're telling him, we'll tell you a name at Tribal and then you do what we say sort of thing. And I get that from Tez. Yeah. But they all, it's not as live. They just sort of nod at Tez like, say, do Rich. And then the votes come in. So then what are the votes, Jay? What have you got them there?
Yeah, so we had 2 on Caleb. So Rich and Tez.
Yep.
They went for Caleb.
And that was what Rich was told to do, to split.
And that's what Tez was told to do originally. So Tez didn't swap his vote at Tribal. He was told Caleb originally, and he kept it at Caleb.
Yes, but he was also told by Keely to do, we're going to tell you the real thing at Tribal Council.
Yeah, so he was told to switch to Rich, and he didn't switch.
Correct.
We had 1 on Tez, which was Lyndall, and we had Mark and Sally voting for Rich. Yep. So the plan would have been Mark, Sally, and Tez would have gone 3 on Rich, and that would have been Faith, Keely, and Caleb on Lyndall, and that would have been a split 3-3.
Yes, and so because that is happening, Tez theoretically could have gone to Rich, Lyndall, and Caleb and gone, us 4 could do something. They're splitting the vote. Let's just put it all on Mark, or let's Faith or Keely, and they go home. And then we take control of the tribe. Yeah. Which would have been insane.
It would have been wild, but I think it speaks to the nature of the players, right? The better players are in the better position than the other players.
And keep them in the dark. Mushrooms, keep them in the dark, feed them shit. Like, that's the old saying. And that's what they did to Tez. He was a mushroom. Yeah. They didn't give him enough information that he could change stuff, and they iced him out. But if you don't have the numbers and it's not a live Tribal Council, you can't change the plan. I still don't get the benefit of Tez sticking with the Caleb vote at this point, because if you haven't already rallied the numbers and they're telling you vote Rich now, then I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
The strange thing as well, we heard from Tez in the next episode saying like, I understood what was meant to happen, but I don't want to follow that.
It's almost like he's just blind by, I just don't want to follow.
Which is strange because that's like your only pathway here. Like, you don't have a pathway but for that, you know? So it's very interesting. And we saw Lyndall couple of the majority in the end.
And go home. And look, a bit unfortunate. I feel like she never locked anyone in. She had this really great first episode with Harry. And then Harry wanted to move away from her because he didn't get the same game sense from her. Then she had this idol, didn't do anything with it, sort of floated around. But it's funny that people are going home like as collateral damage. Don was collateral damage. Like, Lyndall felt like collateral damage. Like, they didn't really want, like, she wasn't really the target. But
no, I feel like Lyndall kind of just speaks to some of these people just have, from what we've seen, just never really locked in with anyone. Didn't have a solid alliance, and you just kind of just on the edges. You still maybe part of the vote sometimes. You hear what it's about, but you don't have a core group that you're going through. And I feel like just sort of cutting some of these people loose, it's just like, that's how it's going to go. I did find it interesting though, the job that Mark must have done for Rich and Lyndall to both feel really secure, really secure, and clearly not at all.
Yeah, clearly on the outs, clearly not having any sway at all. So that, look, unfortunately, they took it hook, line, and sinker. And then Mark has a really like full on. He's Tribal council
Brutal.
goes, Ted's useless.
Brutal. Yeah.
We told him to do something, he didn't do it. And so
Yeah.
now we get back to camp and in the next episode 9, and Tez just starts blowing up everything.
Everything, just shouts it all out there.
Wild strat.
I don't know what the value is. Like, what is? It's almost like this wanting to explain his behavior to everyone, so everyone understands it. Like, no, I'm good, and I did this, and this is the reason I did that, and that's why this is going on. But it just comes up as, cool, can't get you in on the plans, man, because you're just going to tell everyone everything.
I'm actually surprised at this point in the game. Why don't you go back to Keely and say, mate, what do you expect me to do when you don't even trust me enough to tell me the name before tribal council? We've got to both trust each other. So you show me some trust, I show you some trust, we vote together. You not doing that makes me feel like it was me last tribal. When you just iced me out and you said no. And so ultimately I just did what thank you. I just did what I wanted to do. At no point did he sort of throw that at Keely and say, well, you guys aren't trusting me, and now that's why we're in this position that we're in.
Yeah.
But I just feel bad for him, like
just drawing dead and like
drawing dead. There is a great quote here when Tez in his confessional goes, look, I do feel like I'm sort of towards the bottom of the tribe. That is the understatement of the century, my friend, at this point in the game. You're not towards the bottom of the tribe. You are the ground floor. You are the basement at this point, my friend. Like, I feel bad, but that's where it is. And that whole conversation was very awkward with Tez. And Tez talking to Keely and Sally and just not getting anywhere.
We really saw a ton from Tez this week.
Well, this was Tez's. This is Tez's arc. This is his downfall, really. But then Keely and Faith sort of have this realization of, oh yeah, we're Mark's sister wives. Mark is allowed to date and we're not. And now again we sort of see them going, okay, we need to pull in more people again. We've seen what Mark's doing with Lyndall and Richard. Now let's try and pull Richard in, and we start seeing them like sort of realize what's going on.
And so how do you, when you're in a alliance and you have these moments, and you were saying earlier how Faith is in such a good position where she's tied on both sides. What happens when there is this element of like, well, no, you're close to that person, I want to cut them, but you're close to that person, I want to cut them, and I want to keep them longer, and you want to keep like, how do you resolve that and keep an alliance strong? Like, it's great when you want to go for the same people, but consistently we're seeing these guys butt heads.
It's so hard, and this is what happened with our connections with like Kirby on our season because of the tribe swap. Valeria was suddenly like connected with Kirby, so we couldn't get Valeria in on stuff because then Kirby would know about it and that would turn off. And there's this little chain of whispers that you actually can't do anything, which is why you end up with votes like Tez and Lyndall, because you go, well, everyone can sort of get on board with the Tez vote off at this point. It's not going to ruffle any feathers or anything like that. So you get these weird people that get cut, not because they're threats, not for no other reason than, oh well, the web doesn't go all the way back to this person, and it is so hard to try and get a consensus when you go, well, Mark has Rich, so we can't tell that. Like even in our merge episode. They ultimately said, oh, look, we want to target Kitty, but don't tell Eden because Eden is sort of friends with Kitty.
Yeah.
And then everyone else knows about it. And you go, oh, what? I was left out of that. It's like, oh, well, you didn't give me a chance to get on board. Like if everyone's voting for Kitty, I would like to know. Go along. Yeah. So I would go along with it. But then you find out who your real friends are, Josh.
Yeah, you do.
And so then let's just jump back to Baron for a second, because this is sort of more of a Baron episode. We haven't been there for a little while. So Aisha, Lottie and Cameron are locking stuff in. They want Brooke out. Brooke found an idol in the last episode as well.
Yep.
She did a little cheeky smile to camera, which I thought was really fun. But they want Brooke out really bad. They don't know she's got an idol. But they do the classic mistake. Josh. They steamroll the group. They've made a decision. They go, hey, this is what's happening now. They're not doing alliance management. And as a result, they have created the Beauty and the Beast alliance.
Yeah, it was really interesting to see them getting a bit far ahead and feeling like, yeah, we understand where the lines are, what's happening, this is what we want to happen next. And it just feels like, pay attention to the numbers, because there's a lot of clever people on the other side who can kind of see what's going on. And I think there's this feeling that, no, we're in control. Everyone else is going to do. All these other votes have gone our way. What's another one, easy, piece of cake.
So they did half measures. Like you said, Aisha did a really good job. I'm really being impressed with her as well. She did a really good job scooping up Blanche. Blanche has no one, scoop her up. Great. So she did that right. What she didn't do is when they bring in Simon and they bring in Jackson and Loz and these other people to come up with this Brooke vote when split it on Ben, they just tell them what's happening.
Yeah, yeah.
And they don't go, guys, let's talk this through. What are our options? What do you think we should do? And they just haven't been taught that by a returnee or anything like that. They just haven't got that game sense yet.
And Simon's kind of receiving that, being like, okay, well, I'm not making these decisions with them. So, hey, you guys on this call either? No, none of us? Okay, well, let's get some stuff together. Yeah,
and Jackson does seem a bit smarter than he has been portrayed so far. Like he seems to have, he's whipping votes. He's going out there. He's taken on a bit of the Harryness of like, let's fire these guys up. Let's do something. And he sort of starts putting this in motion. Scary thing though, in the middle of the night, 5 people not in camp. That's if you woke up and you're like, where is everybody? Like that's a huge risk in terms of everyone going down there. I thought that was
one little moment I quite liked. We saw Jackson trying to run around and he was just saying corral these votes and get everyone on board. There was a great moment of and it strikes me of a returnee player, Brooke, going, yeah, let's just we got to confirm that. Like make sure everyone like you may say that these people, but she's like, is it confirmed? Like, are these people definitely doing this? Or are you like, yeah, we can get everyone. And so it was like clear that she's like, if this is a thing, we need to make sure it's actually a thing rather than just pie in the sky.
Yeah, 100%. Then we do the challenge. Now, this challenge is different because I really like this idea that they did so everyone's going to tribal council. Only one person's going home. There's 2 immunity individual necklaces.
Yeah.
I love this idea of splitting with the tribe to do this challenge.
Yeah, it was great to see, like, this is the one where you're holding the thing above your head. The other thing I love about this is the different height platforms. I love a height-adjusted challenge. So
was it height-adjusted? I was going to say,
height-adjusted.
I didn't notice
everyone
that.
was at their peak stretch. So you didn't have people in a better position than anyone else because they were bigger, taller. Everyone was at their peaking of as far as they could reach, which I love.
That's so good.
Yeah.
I thought great idea mechanic-wise to get people with the other tribes so you can have this cross-pollination. I didn't think it was... at the start, I thought, this is a bad challenge for that because you want to be doing stuff with the other person. But no, their idea was swap information, have everyone stand there.
I was shocked how much chatter there was. It was incredible. And then the fact that particularly over on Baron, we had Lottie and Aisha were the 2 who missed out, who couldn't get immunity, and they were the ones they were sort of targeting was crazy.
Yeah.
The amount of crosstalk though, it just shows you, I think this game is wide open. I think when we hit merge, I think everyone is keen to play with other people. I don't really have a good sense. I think people are going to wait for the merge and go, okay, who have we got? What can we play with? Who's in a strong position? Everyone is talking about Lottie and Aisha being in a strong position. They were also talking about Killy and Faith, as you were mentioning. Their threat level have risen to the point that they're telling other people on the other tribe, these 2 are in charge. And we didn't really hear Mark's name too much. So it's interesting to see how they're going to be targeted now off the back of that.
Yeah, and look, this is a hard challenge. Mark and Jackson go out quick as well, which I thought was quite surprising.
That's not Mark's jam, Eden.
It's not his jam.
Sharing information is his jam.
He's not his jam. But the the throwing, I don't like the idea that you could throw it to get someone out on the other tribe. I didn't like that.
As in ruin their chance of immunity.
Yeah. As in go, okay, you know what would be great is if Rich doesn't have immunity and the person with Rich just like lets it go.
But that's another strategy that plays into it though, isn't it?
It's another strategy, but I just don't like that. Like if that was Rich's only chance to save himself, someone blows it, and you're like, man,
it's out of your hands. Yeah, it's out of your hands. Like you want to be able to take your destiny in your own hands.
Correct.
In something
Correct.
Like this. Yeah.
Correct. And so Rich is left with who's Rich with? Who's Rich holding it?
Lyndall, maybe?
No, Brooke. It's Rich and Brooke against Faith
Simon and Faith.
Simon.
Yeah.
And Rich is begging for his life. I need this. I need this, Simon. Simon, give this to me. You've got to drop it, mate. Yeah. You could see him like his arms shattering and stuff like that. It was I really loved that moment. And then Simon sort of says, no, Mark's got you, man.
Well, we had that deal, right? And that was a big moment where Mark and Simon were sort of talking about this. If you can protect Rich and you can protect Brooke, we'll look out for each other. Let's make sure that happens. Do you think that's real?
I don't know. I don't know. I just didn't think anyone was that connected with Rich that they would like put everything out there. So obviously Simon had
it makes sense. Like Brooke wanting to be like Simon and keeping Brooke, like that makes sense as the
makes
returnees
sense,
all sort
yeah.
of banded together a bit. But Rich strikes me as like maybe he's really close with Simon. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. And so then they ultimately win. Oh, I'll get it out of my system soon. But Faith and Simon win. They've got the immunity. We still don't know what's going to happen at Tribal Council.
No.
I think in my position, once they told them there's only one person going home, I would have assumed. So there's a couple of things that can happen. So one is everyone votes and one person goes home.
Yep.
Which they're already talking about Aisha and stuff, thinking that. I love that. Then there's you go there and you what my initial thought was you go there and you vote and those two people, so both tribes vote and then those two people make fire
Oh, yeah.
and then the loser goes home.
What I thought it would be that both tribes vote independently, but the player with the most votes against them goes home.
Another great option, Josh.
So
Another
just
great option.
just like a weird thing of like you can't afford to split it. Like you've just got to go ham on someone to try and get rid of them. Like something like that.
But
I
then
thought
doesn't
could be
that just
interesting.
mean that because Barron's got more people, they automatically
Probably.
win?
Hey,
They go-
I'm just saying.
I
There's
didn't think it
options,
through, Josh.
Eden.
I didn't
There's
think it through.
options,
Sis.
okay.
Yeah. So this was really cool. And then we go back to camp and we've got both scrambles. I really like the editing wise. They just did all of Barron
Yeah.
all the way to Tribal Council,
Yeah,
and then they went
yeah.
back, and then they did all of Bounty all the way to Tribal
Yeah, no,
Council.
it's
I
good.
really
It's
love
good
that
way to do
editing.
it.
Keep it up, Australian Survivor. I like that. It was very simple storytelling. So let's just quickly smash through Barron first.
Yep.
So actually, no, Barron's what we want to spend more time on because we haven't really talked about them. But
Yep.
Simon pulling Jackson aside at the start, not a good move.
Yeah, he was
Weird
about to
energy.
go, hey, here's all the information I got. He's like,
Weird
"Oh, before
energy.
you do."
And also, bad response from Simon when called out by Lottie and the girls.
Aisha, that was crazy. Clearly hadn't thought about
what he
it
was gonna
at
say.
all or what occurred. But it was there are these moments you see every now and again when someone gets called out in Survivor and you can tell they're lying.
They just
And
go,
he's trying to piece it together to be like, oh yeah, I just wanted to, make sure that
He didn't have anything.
Yeah, it's like,
So
nah, man.
the lie there is, yeah, dude, he was just about to say in front of Brooke, we don't want Brooke to know what's happening.
Oh yeah.
So
that's
I had
good.
to, like, he was just going to say it. You guys were going like, yeah. And Brooke's right there. So I had to jump in and go, hey, man, let's go over here.
Yeah,
That's the lie, I think.
Yeah.
Because that seems believable.
Or do you
'Cause
just
do-
not?
you
Do you just accept that Jackson is a savvy enough player to not give away stuff he shouldn't? Or because I do get a sense that Jackson is like, he's not just going to blurt everything that means the most for everyone. He's probably going to feed out the things that make sense for his game.
for his
right?
game. Yeah, exactly.
So do you trust in Jackson, or do you go, no, I'm going to put my neck out here and call you aside?
I think Simon should not have done this in
Yeah.
front of everyone. And we saw how bad it played with Lottie and Aisha and Cameron and stuff like that, where they go, or even Blanche, they were like, why does he get to speak to him straight away?
The weirdest thing about it, do you think, and Simon was really, really active throughout this whole period, do you think this is symptomatic of him having
The
immunity?
necklace. I was just about to say, that's my next note here, Josh, is
Good.
as soon as you get immunity, individual immunity, it frees you up to play more, and you go, I'm not going to go home. I'm going to do this. Simon was playing such a good game up until this point for his archetype. I feel like he was in the background. He wasn't running around being crazy. He was being brought into votes. He was building something with Lottie on the outside. He was doing all this sort of stuff. And then he also started creating this
Beauty and the
Beast
stuff, yeah.
alliance. So he's like, okay, I've got a few little things here. And then it was almost like he just ditched Lottie and just went, oh, well, Jackson's in my new alliance now, so now I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
And then basically made himself really aware that he's working with Jackson on a high level. I just feel like he got to his head having this immunity.
It seems like him and Lottie, like, I don't feel that's
You don't
there.
believe it?
Well, I don't feel it's there, right? Because the way that Lottie, Aisha, and Cameron are going,
Yeah.
like, I think Simon has felt on the outside of that and has not felt that connection with Lottie. So now he's essentially making other plans, but then maybe he's going to be going back to her. So I don't know. I just get a sense that he's seen them as a trio and thought they're really making moves. I need to do something else and have a bit of a backup, and maybe Jackson is that backup.
Yeah, it's good to have a backup, but you've got to maintain your front up, your first up.
Yeah.
Like you got to maintain that.
Yeah.
Interesting. Simon also pinpoints the fact that maybe it's not a good time to take out one of these people from in like the Camerons, the Aishas, or the Lotties. Well, he doesn't want to do Lottie, but I think he wants to do Aisha.
Yeah.
Because he says we might not be voting someone might not go home. We might vote and then she wins fire or she comes back and now we've got trouble because they're all fired up. That's his worry, to not do a big vote like that and just to take out a Blanche or something like that. Again, this is a half measure, because if you do take out Blanche and they come back, then she's still going to be annoyed and they're still going to be down in numbers. So just get rid of her, because then it's someone less dangerous. Blanche is back; she's way less dangerous.
So then I guess then to play out Simon's idea, if we go for Blanche and then there's a twist that she gets saved.
Yeah. No. Simon says don't go for Aisha, go for Blanche.
No, that's what I'm saying. No, he's saying don't go for Aisha, because if there's a twist and she doesn't go home, that's really bad. So you go for Blanche instead. If there's a twist and Blanche doesn't go home, isn't the result kind of the same?
It's the same thing, because you've already shown yourself that you were doing something different.
Exactly. So I think in that case, as you're saying, just pull the trigger on the main one. I was a bit confused why he was that whole idea of, oh, maybe not now. Like, I understand. How much were you sort of thinking about in the game of twists and changes and turns and like, can I make a move now? Oh, what if production does something that throws that off? Or are you just like, I just have to play with my current set of information and just go with it?
Yeah, there is a big part of that you don't know what's coming next. You don't know if there's going to be another tribe swap, or if someone's going to have an idol. Yeah. And there is a danger. If someone dangerous knows that you've turned on them, they could have tools. They could have idols. They could have things. And then it's suddenly, oh no, we tried to go for them. We didn't take the head off. They're going to flip on us. They're going to use these tools and get us out. That's a fear. That's a massive fear. But by going Blanche, because the only way that makes sense then is then you go with Hedge. You go, okay, we'll stick to their plan this time. We'll go Brooke. Yeah. And he didn't want it. He never wanted to do that.
I don't think so. I think he'd much rather keep Brooke in the game, but he senses there's that target over there. I think that I think he's trying to massage things in a way that can sort of dampen the influence a bit of Aisha and Cameron, and maybe pull Lottie back towards him a bit more. I think that's probably a good idea. Yes. If you can sort of make her run out of those options that we've sort of seen with some of these other votes, I think cutting off Aisha would be good to pull Lottie back towards you.
But you can't call someone a ride or die if you're not going to tell them your plans. Like, you just can't.
Agreed.
You just can't expect Lottie to go like, oh, that's cool. Yeah, we're still ride or die if you've totally left her out of something that you've pulled together. Yeah, like, agreed. You just can't. And so that's a recipe for disaster. And then we'll just Bounty. Look, Tez is in damage control at this point. No one's talking to him.
And everyone seems to be telling Tez how to, like, hey, Tez, you should try and do this. Caleb is telling.
Caleb is like,
he's telling, like, this is what you got to do, man. Go and talk. But clearly everybody's like, it's not going to matter, dude. Like, yeah, it's just drawing dead at this point.
Yeah, and Caleb, I think his advice is tell everyone that Rich is smarter than you and better than you. And it's just like, yeah, okay. But are they going to believe it? No, because it's about relationships and it's about who you've talked to.
One little bit I did quite like is we had a conversation with Mark and Faith talking about, does Rich have an idol? And they pointed out that at the challenge, the way Rich was begging Simon to not, it's like he doesn't have an idol. The way he was begging that, he was desperate to get it. That's great
context clue to pick up on. And be like, that was a truthful thing. So Survivor players of the future, take note. If you've got an idol, beg to be saved to set it up. Like, that's not a bad thing to do. Be like, I need this so bad. That'd be huge. So I think that's really cool. Is there anything else to set up this? Tez asking Mark straight up. I did think Mark has a little like, nope, like sort of tell that he does. I find when someone asks him straight up what you do and he wants to lie and stuff, he just has that look of like, he doesn't waffle. He just sort of does a really concise, like, no.
Yeah, right.
And it's interesting that Tez asked him point blank, like, why are you keeping me? Who are you voting for? Rah, rah. And he just kept it like really short and sharp. And Tez, when people aren't jumping on board with what you're saying, it's
so hard.
It's very hard. Everyone, let's just go to tribal. Yeah.
So we had everyone come in. I was almost surprised to see everyone come in. I thought they might have done it separately and there was going to be something there. When you're in that big and you see everyone in there, what are you thinking? Clearly, I think the experienced players were really thinking through the options of if everyone votes, if either of us vote. So you'd probably have a few different game plans going into a big tribal like this, wouldn't you?
Yeah, and I really liked how we saw some of these players really talk these through.
Yeah.
What if it's a whole group? What if it's single? What if it's only one person? What if it's and so they've got plans of attack, because you've got plans on plans, which I think is great. Yeah. When in Titans versus Rebels with the Kelly vote, when Kel came over to us, me and Mark had talked through the possibility that she might get immunity at Tribal Council. She might have been given something. She might not vote. She might leave. And so we were all going to vote her out.
Yep.
With a split vote. But if we couldn't vote for her, then we would need 2 other split votes.
Yeah, sure.
And we had that with the Nathan and the Jaden and everything like that. So yeah, that all played out perfectly. They've obviously all talked through the counterbalances. Interesting, they yell out a few blasts in the past. They go, Brooke, you've already done a double tribal at All Stars. Simon, you were in a huge tribal like this when extra people were here and you went home. So they're really planting these seeds of redemption, Josh.
Yeah, and we also heard from Brooke as well, quite like just accepting, like, no one talks to me. Like, we haven't seen a lot of it, but it just seems like she's completely on the outside. So I feel very strongly that, like, Brooke knows she's in a really tough spot. I mean, it felt like she was going okay, and maybe this tribe swap has really, like, got her off her feet.
I feel like the Beauty and the Beast alliance is real, though. I do feel like there's realness there.
That's real. I guess we got to see if that actually plays out. But I do think there definitely feels like returnee player target, I think.
Yes, I think so. And we also have this weird fired up fight between Jackson and Caleb.
Let's go!
Yeah. Like, Jackson is going ham on Caleb for dressing up as Harry with the toothpick and everything.
This clothing disrespect thing is just so strange. And it's a great reminder of, like, they haven't spent any time together. They don't know who these people are at all. Like, it's so interesting to see.
But I've never heard anyone get this fired up about, like, it's a thing. People wear each other's clothes when they get left behind. It's a thing. And then, this person's Sally's wearing Paula's shoes. All of this. For one, I packed up every single item of clothing and thing that I had, and I put it in my bag, and I took it to every single tribal council and every single thing. I took every single thing with me because I didn't want stuff left behind. So I wouldn't want to get in this situation. So I'm going, I'm Eden. Look at me, Eden in my shirt. I didn't want that happening
Check out
on
the
television.
dinosaurs on my jumper.
Yes. I wasn't going to give them the chance, Joshua. And I didn't want someone to be like, that dinosaur jumper is really iconic for Ray. Ray in his dinosaur jumper. I was like, no. That is my jumper, and it's going right. So I was very switched on to that. But it was weird that it became a thing. I like the fact that they're sowing seeds between Jackson and Caleb, and they haven't even had any time together. Great tension. Great sowing seeds. Tez, again, I don't want to harp on this, but terrible response to David's question. What do you think, Tez? Well, I said it last episode. So
you roll that tape back?
But he goes, don't you remember? And I'm like, no, Tez, you got to say it again, buddy. David's not going to go, well, of course, you mentioned this.
Oh, yes, Survivor is the same week to week, isn't it?
Just give something new, Tez. Come on, buddy. Come on. I don't know, man. It was all downhill for this situation, but they've gone back and forth. And then
So we get to the hero moment.
The hero moment is they tell what's going to happen. They say, both going to make fire. Winner saves your tribe.
I love this, and I love they had to pick themselves. The most interesting thing to me was because they all knew they were going for tribal, they all had really solid plans of what they wanted to happen.
And they wanted to do the plans.
And so I think that letting them know early that you're all going, that made a really interesting moment here of them being like, no, we're ready to go. We're happy. We're good. We want to get this.
It felt like there was a possibility that both people wanted to throw, though.
That's what I mean.
Which would have been the worst fire making in the history of the world.
Completely agree. It would have been dreadful. But it was really interesting that it didn't occur to me that you wouldn't absolutely just want to be safe. I was like, no, absolutely win this. But it's like
it's the plans.
Really,
the plans in place.
The plans were really ready to go.
And if you don't execute a plan, it changes. So then Simon goes, and then there's a little bit of interesting. This is when I love people have the balls to go, hey, can I just give this to someone else? And they're like, yeah, you can.
So good. Yeah.
So good.
Great.
So now this gets Simon thinking, well, I could do this, but then I could give it to Rich and save Rich as a potential number. Again, because Rich is super connected with everyone that we haven't seen build it out. So it's Simon, and then Mark just says, I'll do it. Now, at this point, Josh, with your game on the line, does Tez not say, give it to me?
They're not letting Tez do it.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter?
They were going, Keelik face like, I don't want to do it. They were talking about throwing it. They were talking about all this sort of stuff.
What if Don was still there? Guys, I do this every day.
But then it does. I think Tez should have gone, no, I'm doing it. If Mark goes, no, I'm doing it. You go, no, I'm controlling my fate in this game. I'm doing it.
It would have been a good moment.
And then if they go, no, Mark doesn't do it, and then you go to Rocks, and then there's a chance that you do it.
So do you have to have, it doesn't have to be unanimous decision?
It would have had to have been unanimous.
Really?
I think it would have had to have been unanimous. That's the rule with Rocks is it has to be unanimous, and if it's not unanimous, then
if it's not unanimous. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah,
I'm
that
assuming it
would-
would have worked the same way.
Yeah, okay.
I just think this was like, again, you're putting your game in Mark's hands to win fire for you.
Yeah. It's a bit, and we heard sort of Tez afterwards being like, I don't want to go out this way, you know, like it's like, well, that the moment's gone.
This was a chance to be a hero
Absolutely
for yourself
absolutely.
and change your narrative in the game.
What did you make of a technique I've never seen before, the tarp?
Oh
Holding up the
man,
tarp
I
for the
hate the
wind.
tarp technique. I think that's cheating. I think that's
To stop the
terrible.
wind.
Just what's on your person, man. I'm
Mark's
fine with
jacket,
Mark.
so Mark's jacket's okay.
And this is going to sound like I'm a Mark stan. I'm like, oh, I'm all about Mark. I don't think you should be able to take. Oh, what's next? Oh, David, come over here and stand. Guys, stand around this. Where's the podium? Like, get the camera in closer because I want that to block.
So what you're saying, Ed, the tarp is a slippery slope. If you
It
let the
is.
tarp go, it's all
Who
downhill
knows
from
what's
here.
next? I think
I didn't
Mark's
mind it
jacket
because
is fine.
is that part of the fire making kit? That's part of your bundle of tricks.
Is it?
Well, it seems that way. It's sitting there. It's got your kindling and stuff in it, I imagine.
It was look. 10 points for ingenuity. I've never seen anyone do that before.
One thing I don't, when it is incredibly windy at some of these challenges, it feels a bit strange of like, it's not really what we're testing here. We're not testing
who can absorb wind.
No, it should. So in some ways, I like that the wind is taken out of the equation, that it is just about building a great fire.
But then do it for both of them. Like put them in a box. Put them in an oxygen-proof box.
No, you need oxygen.
fire doesn't
You need oxygen.
No.
not
The challenge team know what they're talking about, Josh. No oxygen will get here.
Yeah.
And they put their hands in the gloves.
Yeah, like that
They're trying to make. Why isn't it working?
Now do you think Simon was trying to throw this at the start?
No.
No, you think he just had a dud
No,
start?
I think they were both. I think they both wanted to win. I actually do think the throwing went out the window. I think they both just wanted to win. What was interesting was Lottie then had the balls to go over to Rich and say, "Hey,
Really
Simon's
interesting.
doing this. Simon's burning you." But
What do you-
I thought
but
it was
what- no-
obvious that Simon was going to give up his immunity if he.
But
won.
what do you think Lottie's trying to achieve by that? Saying, hey,
save
Simon
favour
is
with-
meant to throw this.
Save favor with Rich, so Rich doesn't come back and go, guys, hey, you burnt me, guys. And they want to make it very clear that Simon is the one that made this decision to do this to
By
win.
himself, yeah.
Yeah, that's what they want to make it clear.
Simon wins in the end, saves his tribe.
Yeah, with his tarp.
And then and then we heard that he did get to hand over his immunity.
Yeah, and that was obviously his plan all along. He's like, I'll just smash this, I'll win it, save everyone, give this to Rich, we're all safe.
Because my question to you, so this is like, despite what the tribe says about, hey, we want to get someone out, he's like, I want to save Brooke for Mark.
Yes.
I want to save Rich for myself. If I win this, I can do both of those things.
Yeah, that's
I
what
can keep it, and then
This
I
is
can
why
just
I
hand
don't
it over
think
to
he was
Rich.
that's why I think he was never throwing.
It seems like a really easy home run, I think, for Simon to win this and get the best of both worlds. You don't tread on anyone's toes, really. It's like, hey, I just won the challenge, guys. We didn't have to go.
And now a terrible response from Faith. You do not protest this much.
Yeah, it was quite. I was like,
Don't
there's
give it
no
to him.
way.
Don't need to. Don't give it to him. Definitely don't give it to him. Why not? He's safe. Simon's safe. There's nothing else.
But the problem with it is, it's like, no. The alternative is that the necklace does nothing. So
Correct. That's what I mean.
There is zero chance that he doesn't give it up because he doesn't need it. Like,
So what all Faith is doing is coming across looking sort of dodgy by saying, "Don't give it to
agreed.
Rich. Don't give it to
Agreed.
Rich. Don't give it to Rich."
it's not like it was an idol that you could keep and play. It's like, no, it's just now. So absolutely doing it.
Yeah, and you don't need to. You don't need to. Why would you do it? And I'm like, now it makes me feel like he definitely. And what was it, Cameron or Jackson being like, "No, do it, man. Just of course do it."
Yeah, Cameron was
give
like,
it
he
up.
doesn't need it. Just give it over.
Yeah, just
Like,
do it.
there's no
Yeah,
reason
which I
not to
thought
do
was
that.
really good because they do want to keep Rich like on board.
Yeah.
100% Simon did the right thing here. Played perfectly at the end with Simon in terms of how this all panned out. Tez is then obviously it's
Loaded
fait
up
accompli
on.
at this point. Rich isn't even on the table. And
No, I know. Like, that was your last sort of option.
like
and
that
that's
was the
gone.
last option. And then Tez, my man, you go, guys, come over to me. He has one last roll of the die. He goes, hey, and they go, what do you want to do? He goes, Caleb, and they go, okay, and they go and sit down. You just feel so bad. Like
You gotta
they're
try.
like-
You gotta try, right?
You got to try. You got to try. I do think the tribal before this, when Lyndall was still on the table, was an
To get them
opportunity
together.
to
Yeah.
do something. I think
Yeah.
at this point, there was nothing he could do. There was
Yeah.
like, you can't even rally votes against Sally, really.
Nah.
Like he had nothing.
No.
And then his final words, of course, were like,
That's the famous
I was
phrase
too
that we all
big.
know. It's not the size. It's not the size of the dog
Okay.
in the fight. It's the size of the heart in the dog. Slightly,
Yeah.
just a little
Classic.
bit wrong.
The classic.
go.
Yeah. It's and then Tez like begging David to admit this is iconic, right? This is the biggest trouble capsule of all time. Yeah. I'm part of this. I'm part of this, yeah?
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
like,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
yeah. Okay.
Just-
Poor Tez.
Not
Nothing
much
went right for him.
Tez could do, I don't think. But really interesting the way we've got this shaped up. I'm really excited for merch if you get there. It seems like there's a ton of options on both sides. There's a few little pockets of people in power controlling things, but I think they're very known. So I think that's the most interesting thing to me, to have this, like, you know, your Faith and your Keelys and your Mark in the mix, your Aishas, your Camerons and your Lotties. They're known to be these dynamic leaders. And so it'll be really interesting to see how the two sides pair off and who they tie in with to sort of take those guys
It's actually
down.
going to really ramp up. It has really been ramping up now. And it's
Yeah.
because it's so fluid and everyone's out there and there's a lot of collateral damage. But just quickly before we go, let's quickly smash through Who Spun and Grun.
Spinning Red.
I think it's got to be Simon over these episodes.
Oh,
This,
yeah, it could be Simon.
Simon, he's the hero. He does this. He saves this person. He does good on challenges, and he comes into this Beauty and the Beast alliance, and he hasn't burnt Lottie yet.
I was thinking maybe a Faith, because I think she's slotted herself in a really good position.
I think it's Faith as well.
The people she wanted have gone home, and
Yeah.
she's still got close ties to Mark and close ties with Keely. So
Yeah,
she's
I
in a real
think
good spot.
I think even though Keely, this is a big Keely did
Keely.
so much though. Keely,
Yeah, that's
you think
true.
about her. Oh, those three are all getting points. I think
yeah, that's fair.
they
enough.
all had a really good couple
agreed,
episodes.
agreed.
And then Josh, who ruffled some feathers.
It was
got
to rustle
riled up.
feathers,
About
ruffle
that.
feathers.
This is a bit harder actually because like Lyndall didn't really ruffle feathers. Tez,
No, Tez ruffled
famously-
some feathers, but like, I don't know.
In the
Maybe
Tez way
Tez was
possible.
having his feathers rustled. I
Yeah.
think.
Tez was in plumage and he was having all his feathers rustled. I think. Not a lot on Baron. I don't think.
Maybe you could
Brooke
maybe
running an
say
idol.
Aisha a bit, maybe, but maybe not. Maybe it's Keely for
Maybe it's
the
Keely.
audible.
Yeah, maybe it's Keely for the audible. Maybe it's Keely with Tez getting the little
Tez, you
You
ruffle.
said rustle feathers.
just a little
Correct,
bit for Tez
a little
there as
rustle
well.
at the end. Yeah, that's mate. Huge episode.
Huge
I know
week,
we've
huge
got a bit
week.
long, but they were all pretty big episodes.
Yeah,
Like
there's a lot happening.
happened.
And I think it's interesting, the dynamics, the way they're shaping up, especially the crosstalk during the challenges and all that kind of stuff. It still feels really alive and really open. So it'll be really exciting to see the next few votes.
Is anyone still listening this far, Josh? Do you reckon?
Yes. If
Do you
they have a
reckon?
long commute. If they have a long commute.
If they have a
they'll
long
still
commute,
be-
we'll put
yeah.
a hashtag that you made it this far because this is. I think this is going to be a long episode.
This will be a long one.
But it was fun and I had a great time. Say, guys, like and subscribe. Our subscribers are slowly ticking up there. So please, the
great.
more on board we get, the better off we are. But
Leave a
thanks so much,
review
guys.
on the show as
Oh, dude,
well.
reviews are so good.
That would be
For
good.
the
Just
algo.
a few
For the
stars,
algo,
few
Josh.
stars. Yeah, come on. All right, back off.
Back up,
Thanks,
not too much.
folks.
See you,
We'll
mate.
see you next week.